David, why do the dollar bears have it wrong so far?
Oh, well, they just think the dollar's overvalued, and I think they somehow think that if they don't like something politically, it has its repercussions in the currency. I pick up interest rates. 135 million taxpayers in the US on one-year money will pay me close to 2%. It's beautiful. So I don't know what they are on, but they keep telling me the euro's going up. They keep telling me the European economy is about to recover. I don't know what they're on, Tom, but I think they need help.
Give us your best pair that indicates that dollar stability as we go to the Powell testimony.
Well, euro-dollar, I mean, if you look at a chart of euro-dollar and you put it in a context, let's say, of a month, that thing's moved like 15 pips overnight. It's just not moving. It won't move. It's like in a bundle of nerves and mixed emotions. It's paralyzed by fear. So you can see the FX markets are just sitting there, biting their nails and wondering what's going to happen on Wednesday. And until then, there's nothing happening.
Okay, but were the markets ahead of themselves? What happened last 7 weeks that they were so certain that the Fed would be so aggressive?
Well, I mean, the markets have tried to bully the Fed, and sometimes the markets have won, and sometimes the Fed has won. So if you go back to 13, 14, where the Fed said they were going to raise rates and they didn't, and then you go to the years after that, the Fed said they would raise rates as much, the market said they wouldn't, and the Fed did. So there's been this constant battle between the markets and the Fed going on ever since the taper tantrum, to be honest.
Okay, but that can't be it. I mean, the market's trying to convince, the markets thought there was a cut. Or they actually thought that by pricing in a cut, the Fed would be forcing to do it?
Yeah, I think the market believed that the fiscal push would come to an end this year and the Fed would have to cut rates. And then the market got very, very aggressive about it after one kind of a weakish payroll number, and then got a slap in the face on Friday when the number bounced back. So I don't see why the Fed should cut rates in July, honestly, but that's with my economics hat on. But I don't see it. I mean, there may be other reasons or whatever that I'm not seeing, and they're privy to all sorts of information intellectually, but
what if they do cut rates? I mean, this is hugely controversial right now, David Bloom, and there's others, you and Citigroup and all, are talking about no rate cut in July. Let us begin with what is the efficacy of a rate cut right now? How will that affect the economy?
Zero. What do you mean? I mean, the idea of it taking the Fed so many years to push rates up to roughly 2% took them years in case there was an emergency. They had the ammunition, they had the firepower, and you see a little tiny bit of a slowdown and they're going to cut rates by 50 basis points at the next meeting. What are people on? Now, it took Fed, if you remember, Tom, the taper tantrum and how difficult it was for the Fed to get rates up here, and they're just willy-nilly just going to throw a rate cut into the pie because there's a mild slowdown. I just don't buy it.
All right. What's dollar fair value right now?
Well, there's nothing fair in foreign exchange rates, so valuation doesn't often matter that much because the euro is cheap. But in my eyes, it just gets cheaper. I mean, I think we're going down to 110. It's not a million miles from where we are, but it's what we've been arguing all year. So fair value for the euro is like 120. Fair value for sterling is probably 150. But it bears no resemblance at the moment to where these currencies are going because the cyclical, structural, and political aspects are overriding for the moment valuation.
David, what will you listen for from Chairman Powell in his testimony?
He's going to tell us. I mean, this is what central banks do. Last time we had the Norges Bank, they raised rates as expected because they told us. Aussie cut rates earlier, as you know, a few weeks ago, and it was expected. Why? Because they told us. Central banks are basically telling us what they're going to do before they do it. That's the new central banking. That's where we've gone with forward guidance. So the market and myself are pretty sure he's going to tell us before the meeting what he's going to do. This is his last chance to back away from a rate cut. If it doesn't, then it's going to be priced in. It'll be a huge disappointment.